wound up in different kind of scandals.
Sure.
Right.
Because as you said, Chief, people have a tendency to broad stroke things and put people in the same in one category.
Sure.
Which I think is unfair. But there's something we have to deal with. So, secondly, Pastor, I would say that the national things that happen at a lot of major ministries has really impacted the church because we have been broad stroked. And the third thing I would say is I think there's a lack of really compassionate and empathic leadership.
Wow.
I think there's erosion in leadership at a lot. I mean, I'm just being honest. A lot of churches where we've kind of gotten our eyes off of the mission.
Yes, sir.
Of the church, and the church has become kind of like a social organization rather than a spiritual organism that is here to infect and impact the world. And I think we've kind of lost that, that focus. So those are the three things I would say that's really is bringing about a challenge.
And those are great.
And of course, with those challenges, of course, comes an erosion of financial resources, because the church has to have finances to do outreach.
Yes.
And unlike any other organism, the church's finances come from the giving of the parishioners. So when you have major scandals and that broad stroke, then of course that affects the bottom line, which then is also going to affect your ability to reach out. During the Bush administration, the son Bush, we heard a lot of talk about faith-based initiatives. And, I don't know about you, Pastor, but I was never able to find any faith-based initiatives or any faith-based grants. And it wasn't for a lack of looking. So that the trend that we see has also eroded the giving in a lot of places. So a lot of churches in America are really struggling.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Pastor. I agree with you. I've yet to have experienced the benefits of those proceeds too. But I have a question to you as it relates to our society and our community. When you deal with the church, of course, it is our profession, and we have a love for the body of Christ, or the ecclesia, the called out ones. Do you feel as if in this day and time, with all of the things that have happened within the church context, and even, in this technological age that we are in, and everything is at the behest of a push button, has the church lost its honor in the eyes of some individuals? Is she still honorable? Do people still see value in the body or the local church? Do you think that the falling away comes from a lack of honor as it relates to the world's view of the body of Christ or the church?
Yeah, again, I think those high-profile failures that happen.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they really hurt, and it trickled down. It really trickled down, and so people were again painted with that brush. Because I really believe that when the work is done by the leadership, just like, for instance, I think there are three kinds of people, three professions, and I don't like to call preaching a profession, but there are three professions that I think deserve even more attention, respect than others. And the three that I would say would be, if these are good people in these positions, honorable people in these positions, I would say like policemen, teachers, and preachers. I think these are three cornerstones in the community if they are honorable. So, I think that somehow or another the guys that's doing it right or the ladies that's doing it right, they really have to expand their platform, whether it be through television, social media, or whatever, to show what they are bringing to the table. And also, we have to be real careful that we do walk in integrity.
Yes.
Even more now than ever before, so that we won't tarnish what's already been been kind of lost. So I hope I answered your question.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope I spoke to that.
And Pastor Lawson, you mentioned earlier about the some of the crime things that were going on in the Kinston area, and just hearing about your 3-on-3 tournament and some of the other things that you're doing. Have you also extended your tentacles into that part of the community need as well, in terms of crime prevention and mentoring and all those types of things?
Yeah, we have. We need to do even more than what we're doing, because when you say reaching the community, what's actually got to happen? A lot of times we think of mass evangelism or mass kind of programs, but evangelism happens one soul at a time.
Sure.
We impact people one person at a time. We touch people one person at a time. So I think what's got to get back into the hearts of people in the church is that going into the world. And the world means wherever you are. It's where you live, where you work, your neighborhood. That's those individuals in the church. Because the church is not a building. The church is people.
Sure.
The church are those called out ones, as the pastor said. So the called out ones have to go out and then be that salt and light in the world, in the marketplace.
Sure.
And then they can touch and bring. It's like I tell people sometimes, where you live, you can bring someone to Sunday school. Well, we don't have Sunday school anymore. You can bring someone to children's church or teen church. If there's some teens in your area, why not tell their parents, and I'd like to bring your child to church.
Sure.
But, a lot of times when we think the church reaching out, it's not like, you're going to have a Billy Graham crusade and everybody's going to come. People got so much that they can do now that's entertaining that, church is just not on the agenda.
Sure.
So the church has got to reach out through its members. I think those are the tentacles that's going to reach out into the communities where they live and really begin to touch people, because otherwise, it's nothing to do unless you're going to knock on doors. And, of course, people are very leery
Sure.
Of that kind of outreach.
Sure. Well, and
I know I am, anyway.
Sure. Well, your programming, of course, it's very impressive. And my question is, how do you determine what programming will be offered and when?
Well, I think you just got to stay very creative, and so sometimes when people, I've been pastoring for 33 years.
Sure.
So for a lot of creativity, I really look to the millennials in the church, and we even look at the teens. One person told me we had a person that came to do a workshop for us of doing teen ministry, and he said, whatever you do with teens has got to be fun. Right. I mean, they got to have fun.
Sure.
And that's got to be the debate. The kids got to have fun. And so we try to do a lot of fun things. We take them places. We took some kids the other year to a college football game. One of the young men on the trip told us when we got back that he had never been out of the county. And and that was just like mind blowing to think here's a child that's never been out of the county. And
wow.
that was just eye opening. So we try to expose them to some things, take them to amusement parks, those kind of things. But in the interim, we hit them with some Bible principles. We're trying to instill some principles into them that they can incorporate into their lives, even at a young age, to reap success.
So once you have determined the programming and you've implemented it, and so forth. We'll just use the 3-on-3 tournament, for example. So how do you then determine this worked well, or this is something we need to get rid of, or this is something we need to improve upon? What mechanism do you have in place to allow you to do that type of assessment?
Number one, especially when it comes to teens, is the feedback we get from them.
Okay.
The follow-up that we do with them, their willingness to participate again, to come back and participate again.
Sure.
Just like we just finished doing the tournament, we get ready to do a major follow-up with the young people,
mm-hmm.
and we're going to have some breakout sessions in it where
mm-hmm.
we're going to talk to them things like we got some people in the congregation who've been in the military.
Sure.
A lot of people go in the military with no plan. We're going to talk to them about, to those who are interested in military, those who are interested in vocation. We got so many people now who do not even consider vocations. And so therefore we got some very lucrative professions that we are underrepresented in.
Sure.
That these people could make some real money and make a good living. And, other things like we got policemen in the church who are going to talk to them about how you deal with the police, what do you do if you're stopped by the police,
mm-hmm.
things like that. So, we just get together and brainstorm and try it out and see what happens.
Have there been any programs that you really thought, okay, this is locked and loaded, this should be great, and then it turns out it was a bust?
Not for the most part, because mm-hmm. we really try to canvass the young people in the church
mm-hmm.
first. Because if you ever get the reputation out, especially with teens, that
sure.
You're doing stuff that's just a dud.
Sure.
You don't want that reputation, because they won't come, teens are real cliquish. I mean, if something
sure.
is good, it'll spread through them just like the flu.
Sure.
Or if you get some of the opinion leaders in the group to be involved, it's like we working with an idea now. Brandon Ingram's parents, he's a basketball player with the Lakers. He's from Kinston. His parents are in our church, and we're toying with some ideas now about midnight basketball.
Okay.
We're really trying to do the midnight. See, basketball is a big thing here,
mm-hmm.
so we just use that as like bait.
Sure.
So we're trying to get some of the gang members, rather than gang banging, to play basketball against
sure.
each other.
Wow.
So we hope we can partner with local law enforcement. This area, one thing we have here is an abundance of gymnasiums. I mean, there are gyms all over town, because basketball, again, is really big. It's really
sure.
big here. So that's an idea that we got on the back burner that we're getting ready to bring to the front burner, try to get it manned and staffed and going, to try to get some of these gangs to play basketball against each other. And then it's going to be more than basketball. We're going to
sure.
talk to them.
Absolutely.
And we're going to slide the gospel in there on them as well.
Sure.
But the basketball is debate. So
right.
your bait has got to be, real good. Like Jesus said, he teach us how to fish men. So that's what we're trying to do. So.
Wow. So, this is great information, and I hope that people who are listening around the country and around the world are kind of hearing that here's an example, and I'm sure there are others that are out across the country and across the world, of a church and a ministry that is reaching out. You're engaged with the young people. You're engaged with the more seasoned people in the community, trying to make a difference. And I guess as you look down the road 10 minutes, what role in the community do you foresee in the future for not just jumping run, but I guess for your compatriots that are in the vocation with you, Pastor Lawson?
Again, we're just going to have to get more creative, because there are so many challenges that are facing the church. We're going to have to demonstrate impeccable character in the community,